The secret of the old bamboo house. The old bamboo house stood at the far edge of the village, hidden behind tall grass, rusted fences, and a line of ancient palm trees that whispered whenever the wind passed through. Every child in the village knew the story. Anyone who entered the bamboo house would hear voices from the past, see shadows moving even when no one was inside, and feel the strange sensation that the house was alive. The villagers avoided it, not because they believed it was dangerous, but because the house had an aura of sadness. A silent heaviness that wrapped around it like a forgotten memory. To most people, the house was nothing more than an abandoned shack waiting to collapse someday. But to Sela, a quiet 19-year-old girl with curious eyes and a heart full of unanswered questions, the bamboo house was a doorway to something she could not explain. Ever since she was little, she felt a connection to that lonely structure, as if an invisible thread tied her to its wooden floor, its old photos, its creaking roof, and its mysterious past. Sela grew up with her grandfather, a gentle man who rarely spoke about the past. Whenever Sela asked about the bamboo house, his eyes would cloud as though he were seeing a memory he didn't want to revisit. Some secrets, he would say, must wait for the right moment to reveal themselves. Sela never understood, but she respected him. Still, the curiosity inside her grew stronger every year. She felt as if the house was calling her, whispering her name through the wind. On certain nights, when the moon was full and the cicadas sang louder than usual, she would look toward the bamboo house and see a faint light glowing from inside, even though no one had entered it for decades. The villagers said it was just fireflies or the moonlight reflecting through the gaps in the roof. But deep down, Sela knew there was something more. One evening, after helping her grandfather harvest the last batch of rice for the season, Sela felt an unusual pull toward the bamboo house. The sky had turned golden, the air soft and quiet. She knew this feeling well. Something significant always happened whenever she felt this strange tug in her chest. Without telling her grandfather, she walked toward the bamboo house. The path was covered with thick grass, and the smell of old earth mixed with damp bamboo filled the air. As she reached the front steps, she hesitated for a moment, trying to calm her racing heartbeat. The bamboo door stood slightly open, creaking gently with the breeze. She took a slow breath and stepped inside. The interior was dim, but not as dusty as she expected. Sunlight slipped through the cracks in the walls and created golden patterns on the floor. Old furniture sat quietly in their places: an antique table, a wooden bed, and shelves filled with books covered in faded cloth. But the strangest thing was the smell, not the smell of abandonment, but the faint scent of jasmine, her late grandmother's favorite flower. Sela walked deeper into the house, feeling as though the walls were watching her. She ran her fingers along the bamboo panels and noticed something unusual, scratches forming a pattern, like writing, hidden beneath the layers of age. As she leaned closer, she realized they were dates, specific dates. Some were from 20 years ago, some 30, some even older. Then one date caught her eye, the day her grandmother disappeared. Her breath stopped. Her grandmother had vanished before Sela was even born, and no one ever knew why. All the villagers assumed she got lost in the forest or drowned in the river. But here, carved into the wall, was the exact date of her disappearance. Suddenly, a soft sound echoed behind Sela like a footstep. She turned quickly, but no one was there. The air grew colder. Then she noticed something glowing softly under the table. It was a small wooden box covered in dust but emitting a faint warm light. Sela knelt and gently pulled it out. The box was carved beautifully with patterns of bamboo leaves and lotus flowers. She opened it slowly, expecting to find old jewelry or letters. Instead, she found a key, a very old, bronze-colored key, with the shape of a lotus on top. The moment she touched the key, the bamboo walls trembled slightly, and she heard a whisper, not from outside, not from the wind, but from within the house itself. A woman's voice, gentle yet filled with longing. Sela froze. The voice whispered again, clearer this time, "Find the room behind the wall." Sela's hands shook. She remembered her grandfather always saying the bamboo house once had 2 rooms, but only one was visible now. The villagers said the second room had collapsed long ago, buried under soil and vines. But what if that wasn't true? Gathering her courage, Sela walked toward the back of the house. The bamboo wall in front of her seemed ordinary at first glance, but when she touched it with the key, the bamboo suddenly shifted, revealing a hidden doorway covered in dust. Sela stepped back in shock. The whisper came again, soft and urging, "Enter, Sela." Heart pounding. She pushed the door open. A cold, silent darkness met her. The room was small, and the air smelled old but strangely familiar. Sela stepped inside slowly, letting her eyes adjust. And then she saw it, a wooden chair in the center of the room, and on the chair sat a diary wrapped in silk, placed carefully as if someone had left it there recently. When she touched the diary, the room lit up faintly, as if responding to her presence. On the cover were the initials S. K. Her grandmother's initials. Her hands trembled as she opened the diary. The very first page made her knees weak. To my granddaughter, Sela. If you are reading this, it means you have entered the room I prepared for you. And it means you are ready to learn the truth. Sela felt tears forming. She began reading slowly, each word pulling her deeper into the story of a past she never knew. Her grandmother wrote about her youth, how she fell in love with a man her family did not approve of. A man who lived in this bamboo house. A man who practiced ancient spiritual healing passed down through generations. A man who was kind but carried a heavy curse. He could see the past and future through dreams. Her grandmother fell deeply in love with him, but their love brought danger. People in the village misunderstood him. Rumors spread that he was practicing dark magic. Fear grew into hatred. And one night, a group of villagers burned the man's house. Her grandmother tried to protect him, but he died in the flames, leaving behind only one thing: the key. The key was enchanted. Whoever possessed it could unlock the hidden part of the bamboo house where memories lived, memories trapped in time. Before he died, he told Sela's grandmother that someone in her bloodline would one day return to this house to uncover the truth and free the spirits trapped inside. As Sela read the final lines, her breath shook uncontrollably. Sela, my dear. I disappeared not because I was lost, but because I returned to this house to seal the pain of the past. But I am still here, inside the walls, waiting for someone brave enough to open them. Sela clutched the diary, tears streaming down her face. The room suddenly grew colder, and a soft glow appeared near the corner. Slowly, the light took the shape of a woman, the gentle face, the soft smile, the familiar eyes. It was her grandmother. Sela gasped, falling to her knees. The spirit of her grandmother looked peaceful, not frightening. She reached out a soft, glowing hand and touched Sela's cheek. Sela felt warmth, the warmth of love she had never known. My child, the grandmother whispered, thank you for freeing me. The bamboo house began to shake lightly, but not with fear, with release. As if the pain trapped within its walls for decades was finally letting go. The walls glowed softly, the floor shimmered, and the air felt lighter than ever. Grandmother, why me? Sela whispered through her tears. Because you carry the same heart I once carried, the heart that sees truth beyond fear, the spirit replied. Sela held her grandmother's hand, crying, laughing, feeling everything at once. "What should I do now?" she asked. "Live," her grandmother said gently. "Live without fear. Live with love. And protect this house not as a place of pain, but as a place of memory, healing, and truth." Slowly, the spirit of her grandmother faded into soft golden dust that floated around the room before dissolving into peace. The room grew quiet again. The bamboo house no longer felt haunted or heavy. Instead, it felt warm, alive, not with sadness but with gratitude. Sela spent hours inside, touching the walls, reading the diary, feeling the presence of a history she had never known. She understood now why she was always drawn to this place. She understood why the village feared it, because they didn't know the truth. But she did. When Sela finally stepped out of the bamboo house, dawn was breaking. The sky was painted with soft pink and gold. Her grandfather stood outside, waiting. His eyes were wet, as though he somehow knew what had happened. Sela walked into his arms, and he held her tightly. "You found the truth," he said softly. Sela nodded against his chest. "Yes. And I'm not afraid anymore." Her grandfather smiled, his voice trembling. "Your grandmother would be proud." From that day forward, the bamboo house was no longer avoided by the villagers. With Sela's guidance, it became a place of healing, a quiet sanctuary where people came to understand their pasts and find peace. Children played near it, elders prayed inside it, and travelers rested within its shade. The house that once held sorrow became a house of hope. And every evening, when the wind passed through the bamboo leaves, Sela could feel the warm presence of her grandmother, watching over her, no longer trapped, no longer forgotten, but forever alive in the house that held her story.